Welcome, welcome everyone. I'm just going to go ahead and check to make sure that we are live. In the meantime, how are you, Rose?
I'm doing good. It is such a blessing to be here and to see everyone here. It's really hot here in Germany, but I guess that's a little bit of Jamaica, huh?
Yes, so we've been hearing about all the extraness, if we should say, in Europe, etc. Let's see.
Well, as long as it's not going to be too dangerous for, especially the older folks and people who are ill and, just can't manage it. It can't get too hot for me. I don't know about the others. But it's never too warm for me. What about Adrian and the others online right now?
Yes, I won't complain
Yes.
about the better. Plus 30 is better than minus 30.
Exactly. I share that opinion too.
I hope so.
I agree.
All
And I
right,
beg to
everyone.
differ.
I just want a little breeze, though. A little bit more breeze would be nice.
I
This
beg
is
to
the
differ.
breeze
I
thing.
can't stand the heat. I can't stand the heat at home or abroad.
All right, everyone. We are definitely live. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into our program. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So this is usually on Tuesdays, we have Caribbean Diaspora Vibes at 7 p.m. And we're doing a special edition tonight. So our co-hosts, um, Dr. Arlene and Louis Witter of Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. They may jump on a little late because everyone's schedule is a little different for this time slot. So we're going to go ahead and just get started. Let me introduce myself. My name is Donna Morton Morgan, and I'm a um, nonprofit founder of Women of Culture, Inc., where we support women, children, and families in the Central Florida area, and Caribbean American Diaspora. I am also a Florida real estate broker, life insurance broker, and mindset coach. And I am so happy and honored to have the beautiful faces of Jamaicans and Jamaican diaspora reps on tonight. We're blessed, we're thankful as we celebrate another year of Jamaica independence. And we wanted to, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Miss Rosemary Francis. Um, but we started this talk like a couple months back. It's probably been a couple of years actually,
Yes.
to basically bridge build to build a bridge the gap of Jamaican diaspora organizations because and I see Dr. Arlene just joined us. Welcome, welcome. We feel like it's needed, right? We feel like there's so many Jamaicans abroad, around the world, contributing and doing so much for Jamaica. And everybody's so, all over the place. And we wanted to have a hub. We want to build a hub where one organization is serving in one way and the other one is in this way and that way, where we can all get together and just collaborate. There's power in numbers, and this is our kickoff, and timely enough for celebrating Jamaica independence, but this is our kickoff to that network, to that global network. All right, so we just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up of what we're doing, and our intention every month is to have different representatives of individuals that are serving in some capacity in Jamaica and also across the diaspora. And we get to have fun with finding people all over the world that are giving back in some way to Jamaica. So I'll turn it over to Rose.
So, Donna, thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to see you. And it's also such a pleasure to see everyone that have really diligently made time to be here with us this evening. As you introduced me, my name is Rose Francis Binder. I am, of course, still a Jamaican. Have been away from home for a very, very long time. However, it's always representing for Jamaica wherever I am, and trying to bring Jamaicans all over the world together, whether it was when I was in the United States, or whether I was when I was living in France, or now here in Germany. Donna, kudos to you for being so open to the idea of bridging the gap between organizations that are giving back to Jamaica. I myself, I have been supporting many charities in Jamaica. I have raised funds for Stand Up for Jamaica, which is an organization that really does a lot of they have shelters for the mentally ill out in Portland. We do a lot for the young ladies that are in the reformatory schools. We do a lot for their psychological and gynecological care, trying to reduce recidivism in the prison system, educating our prisoners, and so on and so forth. Also, I am a member, I'm one of the directors of the Advocates Network in Jamaica, which promotes the possibility of us to speak to each other and talk about what we want to change to improve the lives of Jamaicans without involving politics, and seeing each other for all the hopes that we have for our country. So, without saying too much, and as we go along to talk about what we do, what great thing it is to really be connected to other Jamaicans that are giving back with all their hearts and soul. You know, Donna, how did I meet you? Remember?
Yes. We
We
actually met
met.
through Jamaica, JD Tan, actually.
Right. So we
Hmm.
met through us coming together and talking, and then that's how the networks are built. And that's how we can see how we have best practices. That's how we can see, one person might be working. I know many young people in Jamaica with very young organizations where they're doing, where they're helping. However, on this side, then we might have organizations that are looking to or doing the same kind of work. And so when everyone comes together and we can feed in each other's ideas, then the kinds of resources that we can pull together, it's then more phenomenal, right? So I think the whole idea of us coming together and sharing tonight is going to be just such a blessing and so wonderful. And who's going to benefit in the end, right? It's us. We're going to be feeling great that we're giving back, and it's the Jamaican people for whom we're engaged. So, Donna, I can talk forever, so you have to stop me.
And that's the goal, right? It's a win-win, win for humanity and win for us as individuals that are given and providing service in so many different ways. Before we get started, I do want to say welcome to Louis Witter and Dr. Arlene. Hey, Louis.
Hey, Wagwan. Greetings, everybody.
Greetings.
And
Hello, hello.
hey, Wagwan, Wagwan. Welcome, and it's a pleasure to be here. Jumping on late. I have my grandson with me today in the studio.
Oh, great.
So I'm starting the coaching business from 3 years old, right?
I love it.
Yes, yes. So he's on board with us. Welcome, everybody. It's good to be here.
All right. Tell us a little bit
Thank you.
about you and Station ID.
Yes, for those of you just joining us, you are in tune to Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. My name is Louis Witter, Program Director, and this day we are just, vibes in. It is the middle of the day, and of course, we are going on into this program for this hour. And of course, we have music throughout the day. Welcome to CRR and the Caribbean Diaspora Vibes this afternoon. We're taking an early one, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is definitely we're usually on at 7, so
Yes.
through a little different, but it was so important to get everyone from the different regions. We've got Germany, we've got Britain, so we've got where else we have that's
I think
around.
Canada. Is there someone from
Yes, we
Canada
have
that's going to?
Canada,
All
but
right.
We have Jamaica.
Yes.
mhm. So the different different time zone is really, you know, Germany. So, um, Dr. Arlene.
What should I say? It is a wonderful pleasure to be here with the best of the best and to hear their passion and the hopes and dreams for all our country and countries and our young people. It's such wonderful blessing. Thank you, Donna.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Louis. And thank you, everyone.
Thank
And
you.
I
Thank you.
invited some of my church friends. One of them is on, Lorna Cunningham. The other
Uh-huh.
maybe slowing coming on, but I did it, send out the invite.
Wonderful, wonderful. Louis, I'm just gonna mute you for a second while you're
Yes,
precious. So
absolutely.
just a second. All right. So, well, we're gonna go ahead and get started, and the goal is to have each person to, about 5 to 7 minutes, I would say, to share about who they are and what kind of work their organization does in the community, whether it's in Jamaica or abroad. How do you give back to Jamaica? So that's the whole gist of this, for so everyone can hear what you do and how you serve Jamaica. So we'll go ahead and start with Canada. Mr. Renford, welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Renford Jeffrey, born in Kingston, Jamaica, Waterhouse. And after 30 years, I immigrated to Canada. When I was trained as a registered general nurse, working at the Bellevue Hospital, the psychiatric hospital in Jamaica. And then I immigrated at age 30 to Canada and worked in mental health and addictions and community outreach, outpatient services in Canada, mental health and addictions. One of the world's largest mental health and addictions center, the Center for Addiction and Mental Health. And then at the same time was actively involved in the communities. They call them priority neighborhoods in Canada, working with families and schools and the police. And upon retiring about 6 years ago during the pandemic, I returned to Jamaica. So for the most part, for 6 years, I've been in Jamaica and just visit Canada like once per year. So I'm actually in Canada at the moment. So upon return to Canada, Jamaica, it's just like you see so many things, and it's just what do you do? Because you have the elderly, you have mental health, you have children, you have seniors, and it's impossible to spread it. Well, I did it all. I was feeding homeless, I was in school, and then over time, I'm narrowing my focus because I want to get to the root of the issue. So currently, I'm on the board of management of a high school, Penwood High School, and also I'm working with a number of elementary schools, supporting them in many different ways, parent seminars, fundraising, you name it, being a liaison for them. For those who are in the diaspora, I'm involved with the YMCA. I'm involved with a training center called St. Margaret's Human Resource Center. And most recently, the police heard about me and invited me in because the police have recognized that they don't have the fix on many of the issues. So they're inviting stakeholders to be a part of what they're doing in the community. They're trying to build relationships and all of those things. So I'm a part of that too. But most importantly, the thing that I'm concentrating on is to pay some emphasis to the fathers, to play a more meaningful role in Jamaica. Jamaica is sort of matrifocal. It's the mothers and the grandmothers and the aunts who are taking the lead. And I'm making a deliberate effort to get more men involved. So I've actually started a campaign where I'm validating fathers by giving them certificate. It doesn't matter who they are, as long as you're a father, we recognize you. And I've been doing that on an ongoing basis. And they're so delighted and happy because they said nobody has ever recognized us like this before. And this is just the beginning of me doing more things to get fathers involved. But first, affirming them and validating them and making them feel like they're important and special rather than denouncing them and devaluing them and all of this stuff. And, this normally what happens. So this is specifically what I'm working on because I realize that fathers do play a very important role in the life of their children, in families, and in the community. And if we get more of them involved, we have greater results. What usually happens is that you have overwhelmed mothers who are doing everything, parent teachers meeting, medical appointment, coming home to work, and fathers sometimes they're not that engaged. So this is my major emphasis at the moment. We're working on something called building strong communities, and we want fathers to be at the center of that. Thank you.
Wonderful. I've actually seen your work with the fathers too. I mean, I've seen your work because we're partners with the youth, but I've definitely seen your work with the fathers and giving them the certificates. And I see the smile, I think that's so important that you are covering so many different areas too, the children, and you went back into the parents, especially the fathers. So I, salute you for that.
Yeah. Donna, I also wanted to say that members could also say or tell us about some of the main challenges that they're having if they so choose to. And maybe if there are some sources of funding or where they've gotten probably the most help or some tips and so on that they can. I know it's only 5 to 10 minutes, but maybe afterwards we will also get into that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll come back to see what kind of assistance, how your links for your social media, etc.
Great.
Who do you want to introduce next, Rose?
Well, we did a gentleman. How about one of the ladies next?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So let's see, who do we have? We've got Dr. Marcia,
Maybe Olivia?
Olivia.
Yes.
Okay, we'll get started with Olivia.
Lovely. Thank you again for having me. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, lovely. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Olivia Shaw Lavelle, and I am a Jamaican woman. I'm a mother of three, almost three, and I'm a wife to one. And I'm a researcher, a PhD researcher, a development practitioner, more in the social development space. I'm the founder and executive director of Men and Women of Destiny, and it was formerly known as Women of Destiny JA. So if you Google us, Women of Destiny will give you more data, but we have been putting out some information about the change and the work that we're doing. So I was born and raised in Montego Bay, Mount Salem to be exact. And much of the work that I do is really grounded in my community of Mount Salem. My journey allowed me to study, travel, build international partnership, and network across the globe. I've also done work in the Caribbean through my NGO. And for me, I cannot see the work that I do without Jamaica. So, though I am in Scotland at the moment, my work is grounded in Jamaica. So, regardless of where I am physically, my experience, my knowledge, my research focus, everything ties back to my community, ties back to Jamaica. That's where my heart is. When they say a neighbor string, tie this up, that's where it is for me. And so for me, I recognize because I'm from a marginalized space, Mount Salem. If you Google Mount Salem, we were the first zone of special operations community in Jamaica. That's a very notorious. They gave us a lot of notorious data about my community, also about the people from my community, and that stirred well, we started the group before that, but that kind of allowed me to recognize that what I felt about my community was not just a feeling, but it was just a fact that we are marginalized, we're stigmatized, and that causes resistance and oppression and also barriers for us to be able to access opportunities. And so it limit persons. And so I created a safe space. I recognize that people needed safe space, they needed connections, Jamaica Worker links, and they needed the opportunities. And so I created a group so that we could bridge that gap for persons from these marginalized and stigmatized communities. And out of that, we recognize that 90% of the women I was serving in 2015, 2016, we were all some victim of abuse, and gender-based violence became a core focus of us. Violence is so dominant in Jamaica, it's so culturally rooted, it's culturally accepted. It has become such a norm, and we were not able to recognize how much of an intergenerational trauma and legacy of this abuse that we're carrying and how it affects us as a people, especially when you come from a space that is dominated with violence and crime, such as Mount Salem. And so we have, it's just a small group. We expanded into the outside of just my immediate friends and family into the community in 2016. And we did mentorship, we did a lot of advocacy work, and we also did empowerment sessions. And through the empowerment sessions, we recognized the importance of mental health focus that I thought of my on my own because I recognized we were able to help the ladies get the jobs, but they were not able to maintain the jobs. We're able to get them into school, but they were not doing well in school. That there were other resources that they need. And one of the core resources that I think is such a major gap is that if you don't have the mental capacity to hold what is given to you, you're not able to use the resources well. And so that became a core focus for me personally to create space where we're focusing on the mental health. But then I recognize that there's a gap in how mental health is defined and treated in Jamaica versus the issue that we face. And that stemmed my desire to go into more research to add to the knowledge of a culturally appropriate mental health space for Jamaicans that based on what Jamaicans deem important to them. So access to beach, those things are therapeutic. It's important for people, right? Talk therapy is not necessarily the way Jamaicans go, but a barbershop talk is something that they would do on the corner, those kind of stuff. But these are not defined as acceptable ways of supporting mental health. So that's where my advocate work in mental health comes along. But through this work supporting women, I've recognized that we cannot work in isolation as women and women development. And the women development space or the feminist movement have failed or men in some ways of trying to promote that we don't need men. No, I'm a mom of boys. I'm married to a man. I need them. And so I recognize the importance of developing our men, but also it's not my duty as a woman to develop a men. I believe it's important for men to work with other men. And so, hence, we have now rebranded and redefined the work that we do to include men. So, my husband is the co chair in that sector. Fatherhood or whatever program that we're running now. Well, we're developing to run with the Planning Institute of Jamaica. It's called Sons and Fathers Mentorship, and it is focused on using football as a tool to get the men together, but through the skills training or the football skills training, we're teaching them life skills and social skills to learn about the challenges. And also, it's a mentorship program where we're bridging them because we're targeting youths that don't necessarily have a father figure in their life. And we're bridging them with men who are established, well vetted, well vetted men in society who want a space because men are actually asking for a space where they could actually give back their time and mentor these young boys. And so we're developing a curriculum after some other programs that we have researched, but making it more culturally rooted to us as Jamaicans so that these young boys can have a father figure, not just for the 6 months, but someone in their life long term to help them to accomplish goals and dreams and aspirations and so forth. So not to take up too much of your time, but beyond my NGO work, as I said, my NGO work is who I am. It has brought me to where I am. I did my master's on decolonizing mental health, and now I'm researching on how to use faith, how Jamaican women who are survivors use faith for their mental health after going through gender-based violence. And it again is just because we use faith-based practices in our work, and we recognize that there's a gap. There's a gap in the literature. There's a gap in the knowledge. There's a gap in the policy, and I don't want my organization to just be something that we do. We want it to be able to something that others can also replicate. And so I am doing that groundwork in the research to help to validate the work that we're doing. Um, and we are partnered with other groups. And during Melissa, we worked with the ministries, we worked with Red Cross to offer like psychological first aid to just create safe spaces for persons. We also do an annual clothes drive. And so we want to start a thrift store so persons can get access to good clothing at a very reasonable price. And we also give away like food packages because we always get donations, barrels, and stuff. So we want to ensure that we can support the community based on the needs of persons. And we know about like period of poverty, all of those stuff. So we try to stock and pile. So when you come into the center, you come into the space, you don't just leave with the words, but you leave with
Right.
something tangible as
Something,
well.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a holistic approach that we're doing. It's hard work. We've been doing it for the past 10 years, but this is my purpose. This is who I am. This is the work that I do. And I'll continue to do that to serve Jamaica because I am Jamaican. Thank you.
I
Oh,
love it.
lovely.
And
How
Olivia,
wonderful is that?
you're living in Scotland?
Yes, I'm in Edinburgh. Yes.
She's doing her doctorate at the university there.
Yes.
Beautiful. And I think Ren, did we mention that Ren is in Canada? Or I think he mentioned that. Okay.
Yeah.
Wanted to just emphasize our global reach right now.
That's
So,
amazing. She
yeah,
said we cannot work in isolation.
I love it.
Mm.
I love your passion too.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, how about we jump over to Germany and speak to Adrian?
So, Adrian, it's your time.
Hello. Yeah, do you hear me? All good?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear
So,
you.
my name is Adrian Wanless. I was born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica. Uh, I am a artist at heart, a dancer. I have where do I start? Okay, I studied in Cuba first for a year. I studied dance there, and then I moved to the Netherlands where I continued my dance studies. I did my bachelor's in dance, and I performed with international touring companies in the Netherlands. And then I moved over to Germany where I'm currently based, and I've been working with the theaters here in Germany as a dance artist. Then during COVID, I decided to do my master's in arts and cultural management, did my master's in decolonization of arts and culture through dance. So, like Olivia, I
Yes,
also did
yes.
decolonization
There's
of
a
arts and
connection
culture.
right there.
There's a connection right there. That's why I smiled when she said that. And since then, I have been the consultant and manager of Ballet Chemnitz in Germany, in the theater in Chemnitz. We were cultural capital last year. That's where I met Rose. She
Yes.
came through my nonprofit organization in Jamaica, Project Hummingbird. I brought La Cadco dance company to the festival to represent Jamaica as the cultural capital of the Caribbean.
That's
Because I do
phenomenal.
believe that we are the cultural capital of the Caribbean. As soon as you say the Caribbean, they think of Jamaica.
Yes.
Sorry to the other Caribbean countries out there, but that's a fact. Yeah, so through Project Hummingbird, I've been working with bridging cultures. I believe that though there are many differences, there are also many similarities, and I love to bridge cultures. And that's what I have been doing now for the last 2, 3 years. I brought two Greek artists to Jamaica, to the Jamaica Dance Umbrella, for them to do an exchange there. Then I had Lakadko come here to Germany. Now, this year, I'm working with Rose and working with Steve Higgins to have him do a benefit concert to raise funds for the Melissa the Melissa Relief Funds. Yeah, and I have been recently been given the wonderful task of being the sector lead of arts and culture and sports for the Diaspora Council, for the Jamaica Diaspora Council. So I am now working with the Ministry of
Culture.
Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports in Jamaica, as well as Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade in Jamaica. I speak with them. It's more on a advisory level that I speak with them, and we've been working together and coming up with different ideas, and I've been giving them ideas from a European aspect of how we can make culture, art and culture better in Jamaica and bring it further to the people, because our culture is so rich. I believe I read something just the other day that we are the smallest nation with the largest reach in the world.
Yes.
So we are a country of 3 million people, but everyone knows something about Jamaica, wherever, whichever corner of the world that you go to. So my whole thing is that we also need to promote brand Jamaica and ensure that this economic wealth comes back to the country as well and to our people. So I'm working alongside the ministries and advising them from my perspective, what could be or what could happen and what they could further do to make policy changes, and that the artists, especially the artists in Jamaica, are economically funded and get better help. So yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. There's so much more that I do on the side, but that would take another hour. But yes, that's pretty much me and my advocacy at the moment. I'm really for arts and culture and spreading that. So I love this forum. I love being able to connect to people. That's one of my things that I absolutely love. Again, bridging cultures is one of my biggest things, and I love it. Absolutely love it. So yeah. That's
Wonderful.
me in a nutshell.
Yes, thank you so much for your work. And arts and culture, it's beneficial in so many ways. Even in what Olivia and Renford, they're mental health advocates, and arts is
Yes, absolutely.
healing.
With arts therapy, dance therapy, there's so much that is going on in that research at the moment as well that can do so much for our people. And dance, especially dance, is such a thing that's enriched in our culture. Music is so enriched in our culture. And I think we need to go back to that a little bit, go back to the positivity of that and what that can do for our people. So, yeah, I'm absolutely on board here when
And
I
what
heard
it
all the
did,
things about.
what it did for our
Sorry?
ancestors.
Yes.
And I said, what dance
Yes,
and its art forms did for our ancestors.
Yes.
absolutely. When you look at Brookings alone tells the story of breaking the chains from slavery. So that's the kind of thing that I think that we need to really go back to a little bit and start to really
Yes.
go back and teach our people again.
Dancing, drumming, all these things that really our ancestors, brought over. We need to get back to it. It's for, especially for our young children. A lot of times, they say, oh, they're hyper and ADD and all these things. If we can incorporate and put them in these types of arts and cultural program to let that energy flow out in these ways, That would be
Yes.
awesome.
My next thing is that I would love to try and get arts and culture back into our school systems. They
Curriculum.
have been, yeah, in the curriculums, they are so underfunded. And I think that that is such a shame. I think it does such amazing things for the students and for us as people.
As people.
And it makes us appreciate our culture a lot more. And I think that is one of the major things that I'm slowly trying to get into the ministry's head again to make sure that those programs come back into the schools and are properly funded.
Yeah, Donna, if I may make a comment regarding Adrian as one of these great resources that's now been gifted to us here in Germany. Adrian and I know of a project he mentioned about the Melissa fundraiser that he, in no time, in a dedicated kind of a very hard-necked way, made possible through the Chemnitz Opera and through the Ballet Chemnitz. And so on the 3rd of October, we will be having 2 workshops put on by our folklorist and Jamaican singer and entertainer and ambassador, Mr. Steve Higgins. It's gonna be 2 sessions, and then the children, the participants, are then gonna show to their parents in the evening function on Saturday evening what they've learned. I mean, how amazing is that for our culture? And then the next day, there's going to be a performance, and guess who has a special choreography? Mr. Adrian Wanless. So that's going to be a whole new event on Sunday morning in the Opera House. And we're all going up for it, and we're going to represent Jamaica. And again, we're bringing the cultures together.
Yes, all the way in Germany.
What date is that?
Yes.
The 3rd and the
That's
4th
October
of
3rd
October.
and 4th.
Okay.
Rose,
In
take me out to
Germany, Dr.
retirement.
Arlene, that's in Germany.
I know that you're going and I'm going with you.
I love it how you see the wonderful things when you make friends, pen pals around the world. So we
Yes.
have Scotland, we've got Germany, we've got Canada, and of course, we go back to Jamaica. But it's a beautiful thing when we can just connect and celebrate life together and just share each other's work.
Yes.
I'm loving this group, this hub. All right. So thank you so much, Adrian. I think we have Noor Blake is not on, so we're gonna do Novlet and then Dr. Marcia. So welcome, Novlet.
Hi, Navlet.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, I am on Eastern Standard Time. You guys are quoting daylight saving time from the US. So yeah, they're not on Eastern, and that is, so my head was stuck. So sorry for joining you a bit later than I planned. Um, right. So I am retired from the plantation where I did over 3 decades of hard labor, and I am on my own voluntary hard labor because the work of the plantation is never done. So, when I joined the police, there was no domestic violence act in Jamaica. The reality was that people treated it as a private matter, so to speak. That was the prevailing attitude worldwide. Jamaica was unique. The CARICOM draft legislation came around in 1996 or 93 around domestic violence and sexual harassment. But nothing moved, at least for us within law enforcement in the region, until about 1999 when we got together through funding provided by IDB and so on and so forth with CAFRA, which is a feminist group that was really advocating work with the Association of Caribbean Commissioners of Police, and we got 16 English-speaking Caribbean countries involved in educating police officers and social workers about domestic violence. So I've been involved since then. I was one of the original trainers that helped train a few hundred people across the region, police and social workers alone. And then I was responsible for pushing it in Jamaica by my load. So getting support, talking about challenges. Let me tell you the first challenge you had. So they take you in these programs and say, okay, this is what we want to be people to be educated on, but there's not a dollar anywhere. And
Yeah.
I had the temerity of writing to my line ministry and nobody answered. So I said, let me take the temerity a little further. And I wrote the Prime Minister. And a lady called me and basically put me in my place. How dare you? You shouldn't be writing the Prime Minister. And you are senior officer, you know better. I was so, I just listened to her and then hung up the phone. It just tell you part of the reason why we can't get ahead with the work that needs to be done. I want to start from there because the gatekeepers are, their perspectives are very narrow. They are about protecting the principals who can get things moving. And so when you are knocking at the door, you can't, it's very difficult to get audience in a meaningful way with those who can move the needle. So we persisted working with other NGO. We have these workshops that we do that I've been doing from 1999. We did some in the region now, we did it in Jamaica, but I broadened the scope of those persons who were involved because domestic violence is more than a law enforcement and a social worker issue. As far as I am concerned, it's all a society and whole of government business because it is the foundation, it is the root of all the violence that we have. Because, we have all research that talks about the response of government to help with the cultural changes that are required to get people to see that the discrimination that runs very deep in the society against women continues to fuel domestic violence. So our work basically in the programs that we run is to help people to be equipped with knowledge and some tools about prevention and reducing intimate partner, family, and community-based violence because all of those are linked together. There is no separation. They're on a continuum. And one of the things that we wanted to do basically was to promote and continue to do is to promote good practice response to in responding to this violence. Because as I said, even though we have come a long way to when we just started, we are still way behind. Attitudes are changing in some respect because of the awareness raising. But I don't think in terms of what we actually do that we're doing enough. And that is where there's a big gap. So when we do our program, for example, we don't start our program on going into domestic violence. We try to explore some of the cultural imperatives, the attitudinal issues that push us into treating each other the way we do, because some of the common phrases that permeates the society, we call them cultural messages that permeate the society. It does promote the discrimination and the genderism and all of those things. So we have to really go back to the business of culture and socialization. We talk about our gender education, therefore we have to become aware of how we raise boys vis-a-vis how we raise girls, the kind of messages that we provide for both of them. And most importantly, we want people to understand how the violence is perpetrated and how it is experienced. Because if you don't really help people to grasp that this is how it is perpetrated, these are the things that you see and how it is done, and how most of it is minimized and treated as normal, that it is nothing and why you're making a fuss, then we continue to pass it on from generation to generation without that level of awareness. And then, how is the victim experiencing the violence itself, and how is the victim experiencing the kind of help that they need when they engage the help seeking process? What responses they get from family, community members, and from the agencies of the state, right? And this is why, again, we are locked into this continuous intergenerational cycle of increased violence in the home that finds itself out into the institutions like the schools and so on, and the churches, and by extension then the wider community. And we also try to help people to understand the conflict that is within those kind of relationships, as opposed from other conflicts, so that people understand that why there's a nuance there that you can't ignore, and how that is handled. And then, where the legal remedy is concerned, what are some of the shortfalls that we see where that is concerned? And then, of course, because of the, I would say, limitations then in the legal and social remedies that are provided, the leaving process from abusive relationship is almost impossible. It pushes people back into the very thing that they want to escape from, while bystanders and the state, whether the state is aware of it, put too much of the burden on people who are victims to do everything to extract themselves from these relationships, because the legal thing is that you as a victim must always engage, and it comes with a whole heap of economic and other pressures that people, without the requisite support system to help people navigate those processes. And then, of course, the judicial system is overburdened and so on. So people face a lot of problems there. And so keeping victims safe is very difficult. Where they go for shelter, we have made some effort to try and address that. That's a whole another set of issues to talk about. And then, what is the work that we're going to do with men? Because again, we might become so victim focused that we forget that we need to work with perpetrators, and in a meaningful way, to get them to take responsibility for their abuse and to seek whatever help is available to help them work through their issues. So those are some of the things that we have to address. Sexual violence, it's a big taboo issue in Jamaica. Incest is undercover. It's happening, but it is undercover. One of the experience that I have of my time in the system is the links that you find amongst sexual violence, community violence, and just about anything else that you can find. The formation of gangs, for example, the gun for drug trade. I have living case studies of these kinds of outcomes, because you live in a community where incest is high, and the community really doesn't speak about it, pretend that it doesn't happen. But if somebody speak out, that person becomes a pariah. And before you know it, there is an ongoing feud, and this ongoing feud pulling the entire community in a way. And before you know it, gangs are forming. People from overseas are sending money to to support and finance these gangs. So it's a very complex problem. We don't really speak enough about that. And of course, the whole business of what consent actually means, because there are lots of terminologies that come out of the legal framework that we don't take time to educate our people on. So there's a whole heap of mishmash thing going on out there. Good work is happening, but there's no proper coordination with it. One thing that I was able to do before I left the organization was to set up what I call the DVI care centers. Got one the first one up in Constant Spring with the help of the US Embassy. and another one in Matilda's Corner in Kingston, and 2 over in St. Thomas. The government, I think, has since established another 6. But the idea with that was that when you have domestic violence, you need intervention, obviously, and you need people who can provide care and counseling for those involved. And you need awareness of those people. Their awareness of what the phenomenon is has to be broad enough that their own personal bias and prejudice don't continue getting in the way, and that we are responsive as quickly as we can, and we deal with people with that appropriate empathy. So hence DVI care, borrowing other people's I care, I this, I that, whatever phenomenon. The idea behind that was to get volunteer professionals like who can do some of the psychosocial work to be available to people who are victimized, so that it's not just a law enforcement response, because the police are not equipped to go beyond what the law provides. And many times, based on how some of these events are perpetrated, the police kind of find themselves in a very difficult position because of what the law provides them to do under certain conditions. For example, if an abused person decide to retract their statement and not to go forward, there's no provision in law to persecute the person. So these are some of the challenges we had. We also do youth violence prevention and a whole lot of stuff. So, but I won't take up much more of your time. To tell you, and the biggest headache that we have as an NGO right now is raising funds to do what we need to do. The NGO space, they put in new regulations around how you report and what you got. It's a headache, and I think it is going to be a bigger headache as we proceed. We are currently funded, we get a little stipend from Minister Grange because I had the temerity, me and my temerity,
yes,
to talk to her in a public space to say, when I was retiring, I said, I need money. Because when I was in the JCF, I could marshal human resources a lot. And some of the things that we had to really go around the island and do youth empowerment work thing for the summer and do mentorship throughout the school year with them, and then to take the domestic violence workshops and sexual violence workshop across the island. Even though we get that, we find it very difficult to operate properly out of Kingston because there's a cost to hosting people and finding venue and providing material. So we do the best we can, but money. That's
support.
Yes, I love it.
That's the cry. So I hope you got something about what we are about.
Yes.
Phenomenal.
On the ground. Yes, money. That's it's needed for all of us to get on the ground for like you said, venue, for printing materials, everything, for food.
In case of food, yes.
And if I could give you, Donna, if I could just give you a quick feedback that we get from our workshops, for example, we have not had a workshop that we've been doing it now for the 20 odd years that we've been doing it. Go here and sometime in the region where people ask us to come and do work for them. We have had participants start to call family members before the workshop is even finished. To start to say we need to talk. We give them checklists that they can use, and people go home and have discussions with their family. So one of the greatest impact for us is to see participants recognizing either their own abuse that they experience or the ones that they perpetrate, or where there's a combination, and start to recognize how they have bought into what we call the cultural Kool-Aid, and how that conditioning has really been moving on, where a person will say, this is how I was brought up, and now I'm doing it to my child, so I need to make that change. So we get almost instant feedback and result in
Feedback, yeah.
terms of what people, the awareness and the education is
That's
doing.
wonderful.
There are groups of people we pull in police, social workers, people from the education sector, health sector, justices of the peace, SDC, corrections, you name it. That's a combination of participants that we seek to have in these workshops, because we call those the frontline responders. Those are the people that the self seekers will go to first, and we figure that they need to have a bit of knowledge of what they're dealing with, so that they don't re-victimize people and
Yes,
what
yeah.
happens. Yeah.
Yes.
That's wonderful,
Excellent.
because
Excellent.
we do need to realize that, people learn by experience. Hurt people hurt people,
Yeah.
because they learned it. So addressing that and saying, hey, you might have learned this, but it wasn't okay. This was
Yeah.
not the right way to go, and you were victimized, and now you are being, you are committing the same act.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
important to teach
Yeah.
teach that too. That is something that you learned, but it's
How
not okay.
amazing. And I'm just thinking, Donna, as you're speaking, how amazing is this that Jamaica's really first and only female director or acting director of the force, who is now retired, right? Is here with us doing such great work. And that, Donna, what you do with your coaching, with your mental work, I mean, I can see some collaborations there later on, maybe. So it's amazing that everybody is coming together.
Yes,
Yes, indeed.
I'll just touch base since you brought that up. Part of what my program is based here in Florida is Speak Life. And I kind of put it with kids. It can apply to everyone, with kids, relationships, women, men, because it's important for us to learn to speak life. And a lot of times growing up, we joke about it that, growing up, we didn't really have parents or provider, caretakers that knew how to speak life over us. So we laugh about it now, like the names that we were called when we're young, and your face favor this and that, you just all these things, not understanding that we grew up and it's shaping our identity of who we're
And
becoming.
if I don't want to have the thing, but let me just tell you something as we talk about kids. We talk about the youth program. I went to a school in Manchester with one of my partner from our group that does the DV work. She was running an independent, well, not an independent, but a program within the schools, because we have our fingers in a lot of pies, so to speak. But for 13 weeks, and I went and I did a session with the kids and the high schoolers, the one that get labeled as troublemakers, which unfortunately is more than that. Right? It's not as simple as that. I asked them to give me 3 or 4 adjectives that they would describe themselves by, that they feel comfortable with, and they came up with a really good list of adjectives, with a few sketchy ones, because some of it is slang and they are really sketchy, but by and large they think they are kind and caring and honest and whatnot. Then I said to them, write down what the community says about you, from in terms of how you are described, the adjectives that they use to describe you, the words, the phrases. They didn't bother write. It started to come out like a flood, and there was not one positive adjective from the community that those kids identified. It was like a deluge, and everything was negative.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So it's not just when you are, I said that to remind you that it goes on today. The words may somehow morph into something different, but it's the same kind of negative diet that these kids are being fed.
Yes, so that's why it's important for us to teach, and we have to teach our children to speak life over themselves. So that's what I teach, because
Yeah.
not everyone is fortunate to have people to pour into them and to speak life over them. So we do teach from all across the board, like I said, children, The earlier the better, of course. Early intervention is always better. But all the way, I'm also in the jails here on a monthly basis, speaking to those women that are incarcerated, of speaking life now and for the future. So it's critical. It's spiritual, it's biblical, it's I call it prescription. It's prescription for the mind,
Yeah.
body, and soul, for us to be able to learn to speak life over ourselves, because a lot of times we get into relationships like the DVs. We're looking for a partner. We're looking for that young girl is maybe looking for that man to speak life over her, to say kind words, loving things. So we have to teach them early to pour into themselves, to water themselves early on. So that's my contribution. I've done it, I'm planning to do it in the Bahamas. We've gone into Turks and Caicos. I've done it in the Kingston area. There's certain schools, and I partner with Renford, with the Love Revolution, and here in Florida and abroad. But it's important for us to, because the mindset is the base, right? It's like the foundation. So when we're trying to add all these different things, if the foundation is faulty, everything is going to come crashing down. So we have to understand that mindset, identity. And if we're coming from we've had a colonized mindset, we've had a low level mindset, we have a beggar's mindset, we have a slave mindset. So those are things that I teach people to be aware of. And now, speaking life, you're coming out, you're raising and elevating that identity. So that's what my contribution, along with contributing to schools several times for the year to try to help with, back to school and Christmas, etc., for these primary schools. So I would love to collaborate with anyone that wants to do, whether it's like I said, basic level, primary school. It's always better to do it early, but we can learn at people learn at 70, 80, so don't think, but it's always better to learn to start that process early on in life.
Good.
So who do we have? We have Dr. Marcia.
Hello, hello, hello.
Welcome.
Thank
Hello.
you so very much for the opportunity to share. And it's just really a pleasure hearing everyone, you in my you in your small corner and I in mine, everybody just shining, doing what they can
Yeah.
for the people of Jamaica. And it is just fabulous. I can relate to some of the things Olivia spoke about. Growing up in Mount Salem and Zoso, and I was a part of that first Zoso committee. And yeah, the data was suspect, and it really put a taint in the community. But good things came out of it, eh? In every crisis, there are opportunities that we want to tag onto. I salute retired Noblet Grant. I've always appreciated being in forum where she has spoken so passionately about domestic violence and the work that is being done. Much more to go, but we keep pressing on.
Yeah.
So I'm Marcia Johnson Campbell, born and bred in Montego Bay, Jamaica. Went to St. James Prep, Montego Bay High School, and then went to Kingston for sixth form at St. Andrew High School. Then I went on to the University of the West Indies. I did medicine, and in 1992, I came back to Montego Bay, worked at Cornwall Regional Hospital. I subsequently did other postgraduate programs. I did a master's in public health and then went into community medicine, community health, working as a medical officer of health. And most recently, I went back and did a doctorate in public health with emphasis on delays to diagnosis of breast cancer in women in Western Jamaica. And so that is my latest thing, a doctorate in public health. So I work with Western Regional Health Authority as the regional NCD, that's non-communicable diseases and family health coordinator. And that is really a very interesting area where I get to cover the 4 parishes of Western Jamaica. That's Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney, implementing the policies of the Ministry of Health with regards to non-communicable diseases and family health. But I'm here today. Well, I must say I'm also involved in quite a number of volunteer organizations. So my community, Cornwall Court Citizens Association, my Past Students Association, Montego Bay High School Past Students Association, the St. James Combined Citizens Association. I have done some work with Pregnancy Resource Center of Jamaica, and here and there, other little things, Radiant Heart Seniors Club. So I'm, touching everything all over, right? But today I've been referred here by Mr. Wesley Boynes, chairman of the Northgate Youth and Family Development Foundation. And this is a registered charitable organization. We do have our base in Ocho Rios, but the members of this foundation are varied. So we have Jamaicans who are living in South Korea, in the USA, in Canada, in Trinidad, all over, being a part of the foundation. And the good thing about technology is that you don't have to be in a physical location to provide the support that you can, or to offer volunteer service to any organization. So we become a global village, and people all over the world are able to participate. Now, Northgate Youth and Family Development Foundation, we, as I said, we are a registered charitable organization. We're based in Jamaica, but we're also a member of Congress Empower, which is based in Trinidad. And it really is an active synergy of community development projects all across the earth. So for us, we've been involved in, we had a program called Operation Eat, where we, reached out to students in primary schools, different schools, to provide nutritional meals. And we do mentorship. We're there for Boys and Girls Day. We do parent empowerment sessions. Quite a number of things that we are involved in over the years. We also have a school, Northgate High School, which is based in Ocho Rios, and it's a high school, so grades 7 to 11. Persons who come in are trained to be pristine leaders. We are having that impact of education. Our most recent activity, however, has been Operation Grace. And that is really a very special program which came out following Hurricane Melissa. Now, Operation Grace was designed, and the GRACE, GRACE, stands for Gifts, Relief, Access, Care, and Engagement. And this was a strategic outreach to victims of Hurricane Melissa to provide the various needs that they came. And we are really, really thankful for so many different organizations and the diaspora who have just come in and provided so much support for the victims of Hurricane Melissa. And certainly we hear even those persons who were themselves victims demonstrated resilience and just the willingness to help your neighbor and to reach out to persons. You may have heard some people even say, those people, you and your neighbor, you weren't talking to each other. Hurricane Melissa caused you to, just build relationships, forget the differences, and just seek to help each other. So in the first phase of Operation Grace, what we did was visit schools and reach out to students and their families who were affected. And we the persons who were the volunteers in this activity were members of the Northgate High School, and then other volunteers from the Northgate Youth and Family Development Foundation. And we went to schools in St. Mary, in Ocheria, St. Anne. We went to Trelawney. We went to St. James. And the beauty of it is how young people connecting with other young people, offering them counseling. Sometimes, I mean, it's not a big counseling, just to be there present. Yes, we gave them care packages, but just offering them a hug, a smile, an encouraging word to say, listen, it's not over. Yes, there has been a disaster, but you can rise again. You are going to recover. We are here to support you. And the students would have reported how much of an impact this had on themselves, in their own maturity and development, being able to volunteer in this way and to offer support to others who were affected. Then in the second phase of Operation Grace, we targeted a particular community. This community was Cambridge.
Yes,
It wasn't big on the map, but the persons there were affected, and severely so. Roads were cut off. Now, Cambridge is also a place, there's a place in Cambridge called Seven Rivers, and that speaks of the name. There's a lot of rivers in that area. However, potable water supply to individual households was a major issue because even though there was a river, it was not suitable for utilization. The pump house was affected, and so persons had issues with water. Persons had issues with food supply, with internet. Farmers lost a lot. Poultry farmers, crop farmers, they lost a lot. And so we had to target that community. And one of the things with we in terms of the feedback that we got, persons may say, okay, somebody came and gave a care package and they left and they may not see them again. Or there were persons in some areas. So like maybe the same people kept getting, and some people in some other areas, there was a particular road where they said, nobody no come on our road. Yeah. So what we did, we designed a program, and every month from March, we went March, April, May, June, we skipped July, and we're going back on August. So every month we went to the Cambridge Health Center and we say thanks to the St. James Health Department for opening the space to allow us to come in. We offered health services. But in addition, we gave care packages, we offered prayer and counseling, we had fun and games on some days for the children. We had dental. Oh, that was a big day with the dental team coming in to offer services. We had little massage therapy. Sometimes it's not the big things, it's just a little thing sometimes. Just a touch, a gentle touch, with words of encouragement to say, there is hope and we are here to provide support. And guess what? NYFDF don't have a lot of money, if any at all. What we had to do was to network with other persons. Mrs. Grant spoke about the fact that she said, we want money. Yes, it takes cash to care. But if you yourself don't have the cash, you have to know how to network with other persons. And we were just so grateful. We had, for example, Miss Alcia Loach. She's founding director of a UK-based Pocket Angels community interest group. And she was one of our donors. We had our parent company, Elijah Center in Trinidad and Tobago. And there we have a school in Trinidad and Tobago, also another Northgate High School, where the students, they pulled together their resources, they raised and they shipped a container of items to us. We
Wow.
partnered with GEM, Global Empowerment Mission. We partnered with American Friends of Jamaica, with that's Miss Wendy Hart. We had local pharmaceuticals like Aventa, Bioprist, Servicare providing items for us. We had Digicel providing items. With so many, I hope I don't miss out any of our major sponsors. And then our local volunteers just pulled from their own resources to give. And it has just been a rewarding experience, just interacting with the persons in Cambridge and their environments. There are several schools in that area. So there's a Cambridge Infant School, and there's a St. Mary's Catholic Early Childhood Institution. And there's another school in Catadupa, where I tell you the principal and teachers have really gone the extra mile just to ensure that the students remain in school. There's a school in Catadupa where the school was damaged, and the principal took the persons into her own home, 40-odd persons into her own home, in order to ensure that education continued. And in fact, she actually got more students than she had before, because people from other schools could not get to their school. And so we continue to provide support. The need continues. The farmers, we had a session with them. We brought in RADA. We tried to give them some tools and give them hope. Yeah? Tools, supplies, and hope. You can continue. You will recover. The elderly, very vulnerable. Can you imagine? You work all your life. You put aside all of this. And there are many elderly who look at it and say, we can't do this again. I cannot do this again. All that I have saved up all my life, it's just gone. But we have to give them hope. We have to give them encouragement. We have to provide the support. And this support is not a one-day thing. It's not even a 1 month. It is going to require a year, 2 years, 3 years. And we pray. We're in the hurricane season again. We pray, God, spare us. We had Beryl, got a little break. Then we had Melissa. We need a good little break to recover, to stand on our feet before anything else comes our way. But in the meantime, the Northgate Youth and Development Foundation, with our chairman, Mr. Wesley Boynes, a very visionary leader, leading from the front, we continue to provide the support to the people in Cambridge. We're looking for other opportunities. We're looking for other partners to come on board and help us, because there is a need. But as I said, in every crisis, there is an opportunity. And so we grasp those opportunities and we spread a message of hope and love. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Rose, did you want to expound a little bit on what you do? And then we can get handles for individuals so people can connect with them directly also.
Yes.
You all can also in our chat.
Well, maybe we should continue. Maybe we should continue with one of the guests, and then I could go at the end.
Okay, I think
you know what I mean.
I think that is it. I don't think.
No, I think Nora is on.
Nora is on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Nora looking like tourists over there, just relaxing.
Miss World.
It's so hot.
Yes, we were saying that before. It's just so hot here. Oh dear.
It's so hot. Because I was having a bad hair day today.
Doesn't look that way.
Welcome,
Hello,
welcome.
everybody.
So tell us a little bit about you, Miss Nora.
Sure, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on this platform. Thanks to you and Rosemary. And before I get into telling you a little about me, I was so impressed with Dr. Johnson's presentation or sharing a while ago. And it really meant something to me when I heard her mention the community of Catadupa in St. James. It's not a popular community in terms of name, but when I grew up as a child, one of my cousins was the station master for the train, for the railway, and they lived in Catadupa. And it was a high point of my life when we made those train rides from Kingston to Catadupa to
Wow.
visit. Yes, and I haven't been there in decades. So I'd like to visit. I'd probably hook up through Dr. Johnson.
And connect.
Yeah. Catadupa, I mean, those train rides were the high point of my childhood. I didn't get to go to the country a lot as a child, but I went on the train trip. We went down to see cousin Winston, man, because everybody was so proud of him. He was the master of the train station. You understand?
Yeah. That Catadupa, that was a famous station.
Yes, man, that was real country for me because I born under the clock. I'm a town girl. I loved it. Yeah. So here I am, truly a town girl. I basically grew up in Kingston. My parents were business people in Kingston. Grew up in the community of Maxfield Avenue. My parents were business operators. We had like a grocery retail store and a bakery with a retail outlet at the front. And so that was my childhood. As a result, nobody loves hard bread and butter more than me, right? That's my delicacy in life. Hard bread and anchor butter. Anywho, because I had a good childhood, when I grew up in that community, that is now one of your highest homicide areas, inner city areas in Kingston and St. Andrew. I think it's St. Andrew South, as police divisions go. One of the highest homicide rates, and a typical inner city community now, where all the issues that are associated with inner city communities are there, you know. Apart from the crime, you have poor infrastructure, you have a lot of single families, and all of that, you know, poor housing, poor amenities. I remember once when I was in the community, I had gone back there well, let me just back up a little. So I grew up there, and whilst I was growing up, it's nothing like what it is now or what it came to be when I went back. As I said, my parents would have been considered rich people, affluent, but it was not poverty that I saw around me. There were people less fortunate than me. And when I left there, it had started to deteriorate. It was when we had the political violence of 79, 80, what was the Jamaican Civil War. And that community was one of the communities that had a strong divide between PMP and JLP. And so I think that was the start of the downhill, the destruction, the deterioration of the community. So when I went back there in early 2000, I could not believe the change that I had seen, the dereliction. And mostly what I saw was children not going to school, children unkept, clearly, you know, no care and protection, as we would call it. And, you know, that made me very, very concerned and got me interested in reaching out to see how I could help to make a difference, because that's where I was born and raised, as you say, born and grow in Jamaica, right? And certainly, as the saying goes, the field was white and ready for harvest. And so I just started informally helping, reaching out to mothers and to children, mainly to get them to school. I couldn't deal with the idea of being, because I had gone back to live in the community, basically as a voluntary social worker. I was on a spiritual journey. For me, it was something I wanted to do. And I just couldn't bear to see children not going to school. I remember there was one little boy in particular. At the time, he was about maybe about 8. So he should be in about grade 2 or 3 in primary school. And he early childhood exposure.
Nora.
Yes, I think she's breaking. She's freezing. If you can hear us, Nora, you are freezing.
The internet does play
No
those
primary.
with us.
I
Let
think
me
she's
see if
back.
I can get her by text.
Yes.
I wonder if she's back.
Yeah.
Well, what I can do is probably start talking then about some of the things that I do very quickly until we get Nora back.
Okay.
How about that, Donna?
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay. I am really, like all of you, a real child of Jamaica, you know. I grew up I'm from Portland Cottage. I grew up in Mitchelltown. I'm one of those families or one of those persons, I mean, my whole family, that the village raised. Why? Because my father was murdered when I was 7 months old. And so my mother had 5 of us to take care of her. And so it was the extended family, it was the community. And so I grew up with so much love. I grew up basically feeling that I have everything in the world because of all this love that I was getting. I went to, after the common entrance, went to Glenmuir High School. I'm one of those persons who believe in the 4-H club. I'm one of those who, if it's egg me in at the red, eventually I became the head girl at Glenmuir High School. I'll never forget the mornings when we would stand up and talk about flagrans veritatis studio, meaning always searching for the truth. And I remember how those things are built into you. The pledge to Jamaica, the pledge, which is a prayer, committing ourselves to our country. So that growing up that way just never left you. I started being pretty much, I realized it many, many years ago, started being a human rights advocate at about the age of 16. I remember being one of the few people who would stand up for the rights of all people to love who they love. I remember even at the time I didn't understand it too much, but I knew that human beings and human rights is very important and should be upheld for all people. And I remember realizing in my Anglican church as a daughter of the king, who would be in the church 3-4 times a week, that God did make all of us. And he ought to have made all of us and loved all of us, like he said, and we're all his children. So there are certain things that were set in my mind like that. I came up in the hotel industry, studied at UWI Extramural, then went to the United States after working in the hotel industry in Jamaica, to the United States to finish my studies. While in Jamaica also, I realized just how much I have to do, if it was a basic school in the community at Runaway Bay, we had to repair it. We had to start sports in the community with the various teams from the hotel and in the community. In fact, that me being one of the first public relations managers in Jamaica and for Super Clubs Hotel at the time, we basically started the ISA Games with the competition, which is now the ISA Games, with playing in Jamaica against the different staff. Then we were playing against different hotels, and then it has turned into something excellent today, right? But anyway, I say that to say that I'm always thinking of putting and bringing people together. In the United States, the Caribbean Students Association, the reggae radio program, spreading Jamaican culture, wherever the tourist board was performing, when it was Clive Taft, all those people doing Brand Jamaica, wherever it was. I remember that time it was a dollar wine that was so popular. They would call us and say, look, Jamaica's road show is going on. And we would be there with our energy, promoting Jamaica, driving up to Chicago, wherever it was in the Midwest. I represented Jamaica. I have represented Jamaica all my life and Brand Jamaica. So moving and after college years and doing so many different activities, working in the Multicultural Center at my university, taking care of Native American students, African American students, Hispanic American students, and bringing everybody together and doing their programming and so on. It was just like a natural for me. Um, Having wherever I am, I've always advocated for human rights. And so coming to Germany, the next journey, it was natural for me that I join the Refugee Council for my state for Baden-Württemberg. I sat on the advisory council for nearly 4 years. We started when the refugee crisis, it wasn't a crisis, but a situation occurred. We started the friendship group for the refugees in our village, in our region, in our area with my friend. So I have the love of starting things, getting it going, getting people involved, and then moving on. Because I really believe in the power of people when they're working together and when they share the same purpose. Sometimes I'm just there to help with a little motivation, but those who love human rights and love people are gonna continue these things. So here we started a friendship group for the library. We brought down books to my school in Mitchelltown, Jamaica, so that they would have some books there. We collected it here with the women here. So right now, I help to take care of through our refugee group people from everywhere in the world, from Afghanistan, India, from every country in Africa. It's such a wonderful life journey to be a part of people's lives, to help them to do their Ausbildung or to do their training. Now they're functioning people in society, or those who have challenges to be there to help them. So that's a lot of the work that we do. And not only here, my passion, it's all to do, and it's more strongly to do with Jamaica. I've always been an advocate for what's right, for good governance, for integrity, for accountability, all of that. And so the advocacy work continues with many years now being with the Advocates Network as one of their directors. There's several of us who continue that work in a non-partisan kind of a way, uplifting people and their voices and letting them know that they can stand in their strengths and talk about what can advance the well-being of all Jamaican, and let them understand advocacy is advocating, it's working for change, for improvement. If we didn't have advocates and activists and so on, we would still be slaves today. We would still be women who couldn't vote, and we can name the whole list. So in a nutshell, all the work that I continue here to do, my work, my real work and job, is to take care of international students from all over the world at my university, and our researchers and our scholars. And we attract them to Germany, and we make sure that they're integrated. There are programs for integration, for helping with their coping in new society here in Germany, and basically ensuring that they are successful. So for me, I live from the improvement of people and how well they can cope with their lives and get
Right.
on. And that's the energy for me. That's what keeps me really going. One of my favorite uh, projects in Jamaica is Stand Up for Jamaica, led by a woman called Carla Galotta. I mentioned it earlier on. She helps, she advocates for the rights of the people who are incarcerated. She also does a lot of work for our young women and girls who are runaways, and for the mentally ill in finding a space for shelter. And again, she works also with trying to avoid or trying to let people be educated about gender-based violence and so on. So yeah, and I'm an educator also because I teach at the universities and so on. But that's just me, I think, in a nutshell. But my greatest passion is bringing people together. And I'm so happy about tonight and about the fact that I know that none of you will leave here tonight not knowing about the other person or not knowing about the work of someone else or someone you can reach out to, right? Because when we're networked and when we are pooling our resources, and when we know of situations that could use our help, then we're more effective. And when our resources don't go to waste, and we know that it's really providing the help that we want to, that's something amazing. And so, as Donna mentioned, with us meeting up, we're trying to make this a once a month thing, and then we build a network. Then people can share their handles, where they can be reached. What's going on, where help can be given, and so on. And so I think that's a fantastic thing, and I thank you all for showing up and
Thank
sharing.
you. Thank you so much. I think we have another 5 minutes.
Yes. So Nora,
We're gonna go back to
We're gonna
No,
try
I just
again.
wanna-
Nora have to tell us about our charity.
yes.
Okay, let me try before this internet let us down again. Sorry about that. It's wobbling. So, are you hearing
Yes.
me? Are
Yes.
you hearing me? Yes. Yeah. So I was saying I went back in the community to actually live after being out of the community all of my adult years. I left for university, and when I went back there in would have been about 2003, 2002, I got a chance to actually reach out to children and women, mostly to facilitate the children going to school, educating them. And not just that, at that time, a lot of the children in the community were not very well exposed. So every opportunity I got to expose them to life outside of what they know, we would do trips. I even had a team from our community that was a annual team for one of the 5Ks, one of the popular 5Ks that we had in Kingston. And these are children who, like, they've never been to places like that. Like, the EU 5K, they took it to the university campus and the surrounding town of Augustown. I mean, for them, that was like taking a trip abroad, just taking them to church, having them prayed over, having them christened, getting their baptismal paper and all of that. It was just helping the children to actualize. And I sort of evolved, in doing more and more of that. Eventually, I went to work. I went and did a MBA in social entrepreneurship, which was the first time it was being offered in Jamaica, because there was an interest in the challenge for social entities.
Oh, that is so sad that Nora is cutting up. We have to bring on Nora the next time then, Donna.
Is sustainability. And so it is a trajectory to.
Yes, guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Louis.
Yes. So I just want to jump on.
Self-sustaining some business entity that is going to facilitate the sustainability of what you're doing. Are you hearing me, guys? It's saying unstable.
Yes, you were
In and out.
yes. Just 1 minute, Nora. Louis, you had something?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump on, and I came from a little district in Portland called Nonsuch, and been in this United States for over 35 years, and I have seen a lot of us as Jamaicans, but today I see passion. I see growth in us. I see hard work. I see struggle. I see success. And I just want to commend all of you, ladies and gents, on this program today, the things that you've brought to us. We do hope that all our listeners get a chance to really hear all the things that you guys have said you have been doing in your community, in your district, in your town representing Jamaica. Jamaica is, and I want to go brother Adrian that give a description of Jamaica. But Jamaica to me is the biggest little country in the world. And so we spread all over the globe. We just did our monthly report for July, which we do every year. We've been on this air with Donna for the last 6 years as a partner with what she does. I've spoken and be on this network with several of you. And so we have a total of 23,000 people that listen out every month, that log on to this network. We also broadcast through 160 countries. And so I would like all of you, if you have a chance, work through Donna. We would love to hear from you on a regular basis. We would love to hear from you more often. I know Donna does this once a year, but we want to have people like you calling in, being a part of the network, having a show, 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, where we can have some input from you and your message and what you're doing is going across. Because as Jamaicans, we are scattered all over the globe. Every little part of the world you go, we have a yardie there, sit down waiting, doing something positive. We understand Jamaicans are some of the Jamaican women are some of the most educated women in the world. We need to know that. People need to know that. We are some of the most astute people in the world. I had a guy about 15 years ago was on a flight somewhere and the white guy come up beside me. We happened to sit beside each other. And he was a recruiter. He was an head hunter. They call it head hunter. He go around and he recruit the best set of employee for companies, corporation. And when he found out that I'm a Jamaican, he said, listen, man, my number one list of people to recruit are Jamaicans. Whether you're a man or a woman, he said, my number one people that I recruit to put in corporation all over the United States are Jamaicans. And so I just want to congratulate all of you for the work that you're doing. We want to get your message out. This platform is here to get our message out because otherwise we don't have it. We can't go to RJR, we can't go to JBC. Those are all tied up with foolishness. This year, Donna and I is here in Central Florida. Our office, our studio is right here in Kissimmee, Central Florida. And we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear what you're doing in your neighborhood continuously. So I am inviting you. Contact Donna. Say, yeah, man, me want to come in on the radio show. Me want to come in and do my thing. I want to be, I am available once a month. I'm available every 2 months. Whenever time you're available, we have time and we want to know and continue your story. Thank you guys for what you have done and the message that you have sent out today. We hope everybody, and as we celebrate 64 years, it is it is a milestone, but we have a lot to work. We're still, as our young lady said, we're still in the plantation. We're still there on the plantation. But let's emancipate our mind from the mental slavery. That is what we need to work on next. And Dana, I thank you for this audience today. God
Yeah,
bless you.
man. Blessings. Thank you so much, Louis. Yes, we will be doing this on a monthly basis. We'll be carving out the time. And depending on who, yeah, we'll probably have to do it early, 4 versus our 7 p.m. based on international time zones. But thank you so much for the offer. And yeah, we are definitely connecting more often, not the once a year business, but the more on a monthly basis. And yes, you can definitely connect with Louis and to jump on the radio to share whatever your message is about your organization. Um, I think Nora jumped off because yeah, her internet is just not
It's not stable.
it's not stable. So we're gonna do because we're almost 2 hours. Look at that. We're gonna, Dr. Arlene, do you wanna do last words and then also we'll get handles.
Donna, applause, commendation, salutation, passion, advocacy, everything. I'm just so proud of my people and what God has poured into their spirit. And they have not wasted it, but they are standing on their platform and they're shining and they're beaming across the globe. Thanks to you, Queen Donna. Thanks, Lewis. And, we see Renford all the time. We're so happy to see him again. But to all my beloved, beautiful sisters standing tall, I salute you again. I'm so proud. I'm just so proud. Louis said 6 years. Donna, thank you for 6 years of blessings. Being here
Yes.
to behold and to just applaud my sisters and brothers. And Donna, we are going to Germany. Okay, Adrian.
And Rose, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Donna, is there a way to make sure that we have everybody's handles? We have it in the chat, right? They
We
can
have
also put
it.
it in the WhatsApp if they want.
Yes, you can also put it because then it'll be easier for me to just copy and paste
Yes. If you
onto.
could share it if they could share it in the WhatsApp.
Yes. All right. So wonderful, wonderful messages. There's a verse, that we shared a couple days ago. What was that? You reminded me, Rose. Do you
Yes,
remember?
you shared it with me, and I
Yes.
told you that it was a wonderful verse.
Yes, I
I
found
don't
it.
know if I can find it. Have you found it?
Yes. It's
Yes.
it's 1 Corinthians 3:9. It says, "For we are co-workers in God's service. You are God's field, you are God's building." And that is exactly what's happening right here. You are God's co-workers. I don't think that, a lot of people understand that we're here on a mission. You didn't just come here to take up space. But sometimes, people don't understand and they go through life. But it's so amazing when we see people that understand that they're here for a purpose and they understand that purpose. You may not have all the resources, but I always say we're all spiritual teammates. If
Yes.
we're all here to share and support. And in the morning when I do my meditation time, I'm always giving thanks for my spiritual teammates, because I'm always saying to myself, like, I wonder who's going to bless me today, who's going to refer business to me today, who's going to support. And if we can get into that mindset of understanding that we're all co-workers. So it's okay to connect to our co-workers mentally and give thanks, right? Rejoice, pray, and give thanks always. And then the co-workers will show up. They'll show up to support you in the various ways. So let's understand that we are co-workers. We are vessels, we are temples of God, and we can connect to each other. When we give thanks, we're giving thanks in advance for the support. I always say the God has dispatched my coworkers, my support team. And just think of it that the dispatch order went out. You don't know it went out, but it went out. And then all of a sudden this person shows up, or this person calls you and you're like, I needed that. We're all connected. We're all wonderfully made and spiritually equipped.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
I'll
Yes, we're
go
gonna
off.
make sure that continues and
Yeah,
that,
so on Facebook you can find us at Jamaica Diaspora Outreach. I'll drop the chats too. Inner Vibes Consulting, Vibes with the Z, Caribbean American Diaspora. I'll drop all this. Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network, Facebook and IG. Women of Culture Inc. And culture was with a K. Um, so much work that we do in different ways, but we give thanks for the strength. We give thanks for the fellow co-workers. With
Amen.
that, I say thank you and God bless.
All
thank
right.
you. And
Thank you all.
we're building a great network where we can
Excellent.
lean on each other.
Yes.
Have a great evening, everybody.
The work continues until next month when we have additional individuals from around the world to tell us how they support Jamaica. All right. Good night,
Great.
everyone.
And reach
Blessings.
out.
Good
Make
night.
sure you reach out. Thanks to
Thank
you
you.
all. Thanks for showing
Thanks,
up and
everyone.
sharing. Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Yes, keep up the good work, Novlet. I see you over there. I see you, Olivia, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Adams. Thank you.
And
Bye,
we'll keep it,
Adrian.
when I decide to come back or visit, I will let everyone know too, so we can stay
Yes.
connected.
Our network.
Yeah, man.
Coming on.
Olivia,
Have a good night, everyone.
wants to be
Yes,
on
thank you so much, Dr. Campbell. Thank you.
All right, then.
Independence
Thanks
and
a
all
lot.
Happy Independence.
Yes,
That's your
yes,
son,
happy
Olivia.
independence.
Independent.
yes.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Bye.